people's last days, and I'm just like, oh, I don't know, it's just happening.
Hogwarts will always be there to welcome us home. However, there was a time when the Harry Potter cast had to say goodbye to Hogwarts for good. The Deathly Hallows Part II was dark and intense, and you'll soon find out that behind the scenes wasn't much different. We're uncovering just how emotional, surprising, and of course, magical the final days on the set of Harry Potter were.
Yeah, but I've had a really nice time.
Needless to say, the last day on set for Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint was tense. It also didn't help that their last scene wasn't ideal. Sad, right? The movie may have ended with the beautiful epilogue on platform 9 3/4, 19 years in the future. But for the Golden Trio, their Harry Potter journey ended surrounded by a green screen while they continuously jumped onto a mat. It would turn into the epic scene of their characters running through the Ministry of Magic in the final cut. But, as producer David Barron put it, they took it in turns, diving on the crash mat, and after 2 or 3 times, that was it. That was the end of Harry Potter. All in all, it was kind of anticlimactic for a franchise that was the exact opposite. When cut was called for the final time, the 3 of them broke down into tears. It's not surprising that Daniel called the whole ordeal bizarre.
I was so upset on the last day. I really was.
After they wrapped, the 3 leads were brought to a screen where they watched an extremely emotional video that production had put together. There were laughs, hugs, and some more tears. But the real heart-wrenching moment was when Dan gave this emotional goodbye speech.
I love this place. This has been my life. And so it's going to be very, very odd, I think, for all of us.
If you thought your life was completely changed when Harry Potter came to an end, imagine how they were feeling at that moment. We just hope they had all the fun at their wrap party that night.
It just always seemed such a far away thing, really.
What's a party without gifts, right? Emma and Dan 100% were not ready for how bizarre their wrap gift from Rupert was going to be. As a tribute to their 10 years as the most iconic trio, Rupert gifted Emma and Dan, wait for it, engraved trumpets. Yes, like the musical instrument. He says he has no idea why, he just thought it'd be a good idea.
Rupert gave me a trumpet which he had self-engraved. I don't play the trumpet.
For Daniel, wrapping his time on Harry Potter meant being extremely unsure of his future. After all, at that time he had spent more than half his life on that Warner Brothers movie set. Like Dan said,
there'll never be a frame of any of these films that I don't look at and connect immediately to a memory.
He always mentioned how much he'd actually miss Harry himself. Harry was like a best friend to Dan, and we all know we never forget a best friend.
Stuff I got to do in this part which I loved and will probably never have a chance to do again.
Emma's final days on set had her reflecting on how grateful she was to have the opportunity to star in these films in the first place, and be able to play a character who was so independent, outspoken, and smart. From the outgoing 11-year-old auditioning in her drama class to a household name, she truly believes they were all lucky enough to be real-life chosen ones.
We were the chosen ones, yeah.
Rupert's goodbye to Ron might have been the hardest, only because he said they basically became one person. Take a listen.
I'm gonna miss kind of playing Ron.
But, just like Dan, Rupert struggled with the fact that he wasn't entirely sure what life was without Ron and Harry Potter. But he still brought his iconic ice cream truck to set on the last day for everyone to enjoy.
It's kind of been my life every day, every hour. It's what it's all been about. And to not have that anymore is quite emotional.
Tom Felton wasn't a part of the Golden Trio, but Harry Potter was in his life just as long. He was so grateful for everything he got to learn in those years.
I've grown up around some of these incredible people. I've learned so much as an actor.
His last day on sets consisted of filming multiple endings for Draco. While this scene, where Draco redeemed himself by fighting with his schoolmates, was cut,
Potter!
Tom was still proud of the development he was able to give Draco over the years. Overall, filming on the Deathly Hallows Part II was a great experience for Tom. He even got to work alongside his then-girlfriend, who starred as Draco's future wife, Astoria Greengrass, in the Epilogue.
I think in that respect we've learnt a lot, and we've taken a lot from the place. It's only going to be positive things, really.
Another longtime cast member, Matthew Lewis, who played Neville Longbottom, also had the time of his life bringing his character's transformation to life. His last day on set was spent filming scenes of the Battle of Hogwarts, where Neville became an integral part of defeating the Dark Lord. From an 11-year-old who lost his toad to an adult who slayed Nagini with the Sword of Gryffindor, He definitely got some of the best development.
The last 10 years, that evolution of a character has been incredible.
However, we were shocked to find out that Neville's scene with Voldemort was the first time Matthew had ever spoken to Ralph Fiennes, even though they'd both starred in the franchise for years.
That is Alan and David Thewlis' last day on Harry Potter.
If you need proof that Alan Rickman was wildly different from Professor Snape, here it is. On his last day on set, he spent hours in his trailer drinking tea and talking to the younger cast members about what they were planning to do with their careers. Specifically, Matthew Lewis, who had been scared of him for a decade, but had finally worked up the nerve to speak with him.
You know, it was because I was terrified, but you were incredible, and I just want to say thank you for allowing me to work with you for 10 years.
Apart from giving advice to his younger co-stars, Alan's last scenes were filmed in the Hogwarts Great Hall, where he had to duel with Maggie Smith, also known as Professor McGonagall. He said it was one of the most awkward scenes he'd ever had to film because of the respect he had for Maggie, but it had to be done. Part of his final scene was actually meant to be cut from the final films, until J.K. Rowling stepped in and saved the moment by requesting all the battle scenes stay true to the novels.
It was a very changing thing, of course, as it would be over 10 years.
All in all, it was an emotional few weeks as each cast member reached their final days on set of Harry Potter. Final bows, hugs, and tears seemed to be the main theme behind the scenes of the Deathly Hallows Part II. No matter how big or small their roles were, each actor played an integral role in making the wizarding world as amazing as it is.
Going through her own journey, but very, very much her own self.
The truth is, after a decade of spending almost every day together, the cast and crew became one big family. They celebrated birthdays and holidays together. There was never a day on set that went by where they didn't make lasting memories with one another.
I am still very much in touch with everyone that I worked with.
The final battle was the last scene a lot of the cast filmed, and was even where this iconic cast photo was taken. But just listen to the cast explain how eerie it was to be filming on the set of a destroyed Hogwarts, with rubble and body limbs scattered everywhere.
Yeah, no, it's quite sad seeing it all smashed up, because we've kind of grown up here, so...
The crew even ran into some problems when they were destroying the Hogwarts set in preparation for the scenes. The set caught on fire and cost the studio thousands of dollars. Talk about going out with a bang. While filming the epilogue, the studio went through a lot to make sure no paparazzi caught sight of the cast with their aged makeup. They had stand-ins acting as Dan, Emma, and Rupert, who led the public to an entirely different place to where they were filming on location.
Oh my god.
That's really funny.
While it's been over a decade since the cast spent their final days on set, they're still showing their love for the franchise in a lot of ways. All the proof you need is in the cast fangirling over the wizarding world at Universal Studios here, or one peek at Tom Felton's TikTok. At the end of the day, the cast is just like us, people who fell in love with a story about the boy who lived. Hey Warner Brothers, we could use a reboot right about now. It's evident from seeing these final days on set that a huge part of the reason why the Harry Potter franchise is so amazing was because of how much love the cast had for one another. Did you get emotional alongside the cast while watching this?